Aloha! This is Lesson 14 from A Course in Miracles with Hope Johnson. God did not create a meaningless world. The idea for today is, of course, the reason why a meaningless world is impossible. What God did not create does not exist. And everything that does exist exists as He created it. The world you see has nothing to do with reality. It is of your own making, and it does not exist. The exercises for today are to be practiced with eyes closed throughout. The mind-searching period should be short, a minute at most. Do not have more than 3 practice periods with today's idea unless you find them comfortable. If you do, it will be because you really understand what they are for. The idea for today is another step in learning to let go the thoughts that you have written on the world and see the Word of God in their place. The early steps in this exchange, which can truly be called salvation, can be quite difficult and even painful. Some of them will lead you directly into fear. You will not be left there. You will go far beyond it. Our direction is toward perfect safety and perfect peace. With eyes closed, think of all the horrors in the world that cross your mind. Name each one as it occurs to you, and then deny its reality. God did not create it, and so it is not real. Say, for example, God did not create that war, and so it is not real. God did not create that airplane crash, and so it is not real. God did not create that disaster, specify, and so it is not real. Suitable subjects for the application of today's idea also include anything you are afraid might happen to you, or to anyone about whom you are concerned. In each case, name the disaster quite specifically. Do not use general terms. For example, do not say, God did not create illness, but God did not create cancer or heart attacks or whatever may arouse fear in you. This is your personal repertory of horrors at which you are looking. These things are part of the world you see. Some of them are shared illusions, and others are part of your personal hell. It does not matter. What God did not create can only be in your own mind apart from His. Therefore, it has no meaning. In recognition of this fact, conclude the practice periods by repeating today's idea. God did not create a meaningless world. The idea for today can, of course, be applied to anything that disturbs you during the day, aside from the practice periods. Be very specific in applying it. Say, God did not create a meaningless world. He did not create, specify the situation which is disturbing you, and so it is not real. Hooray to that. This one was really relieving for me because we're going with, I'm upset because I'm seeing a meaningless world. And thoughts that are related to that, a meaningless world, a meaningless world, a meaningless world. And then God comes in here, and God did not create a meaningless world. So it was kind of like, thank goodness. Because God's the creator. God created something. It's just not a meaningless world.
Love?
Well, God created reality. And basically that's what we are. We are that reality. You know, you could look at it like this too. God is love. Love created reality. Love created reality like itself. That's who we are. Right? So, a meaningless world is no problem since God didn't create it. Like for me, before this one came in, it's like, shit, this is what we got, a meaningless world. It's like, no, you don't really have it because God didn't create it. It's your own making, which can be undone according to your will when you're willing for it to be undone for you.
I think the most important, where it says the idea for today is another step in learning to let go the thoughts that you have written on the world.
Right. Yes.
And see the word of God in their place.
That's it.
So obviously what we see written, what we write on the world is the war and the garbage and how people treat each other, the divisiveness.
Yes, that's how. So this is what we have already written, what we're perceiving. So let's say you hear of a war, and you hearing of that war is an indication that you've written your word, which is really the ego's word. It's an imposter word, on the world. Because you have been listening to those thoughts to even get to perceive a war and be able to interpret something like that. So this is how it gets undone. You get the perception of a war and you bring it to the truth and you say, God did not create a meaningless world. He did not create war, and so it is not real. You know, you can just do the second part if you want. God did not create such, and so it is not real. God did not create that person not liking me, and so it's not real, for instance. God did not create debt, and therefore it's not real.
So then putting the word of God in their place, how would that look?
Well, that is putting the word of God in their place, because this is the word of God. He's, this statement right here, God did not create this thing, and so it is not real. That is the word of God. Right? The word of God is undoing this world. You wouldn't need the word of God to come in that form. That's why it's also an illusion. And this, as these words are coming through, it's just that they undo what we made. In reality, we don't need this kind of words. We don't need to hear God did not create a meaningless world. Mm-hmm. Doesn't make any sense. It's not relevant. No, everyone knows that. So
beautiful.
Yay. Enjoy. Aloha.